All right, gang. Hello, 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 and welcome to this impromptu live stream. Almost came, yeah, Q says mic check. That's exactly what happened. I did a mic check and realized the microphone was not plugged in. Would not have been the first time. So this is, I did not, this is a pure coincidence that I did not do on purpose. I just happened to be wearing my, ATF should be a convenience store, not a government agency t-shirt today, and wow. I would have come on earlier, but I was in a meeting and then Liberty Baby was napping on me, so I couldn't come on and do this earlier. She is downstairs. We'll see how long that lasts. Because of that, and also I have a video queued up that I'm hoping to get out today, hopefully tonight. So because of all that, this rule just dropped a couple of hours ago. I have not had the chance to read through all of it because I'm going to be real with you guys. It is 293 pages. But for the sake of time, I wanted to come on and at least give you guys the initial summaries so you could know what's up. So, the ATF has officially released their pistol brace rule. It is pretty wild. We had an announcement from the DOJ earlier today, and we have a press release from the ATF. The short version is they have redefined what a rifle is. All of the previous letters that they sent out to anyone regarding the legality of a pistol with a pistol brace is now officially rescinded. The rule goes into effect immediately. They say as soon as it is published in the Federal Register, and it was published today. And there are already some lawsuits pending up against it, and it's going to be absolutely wild. So I'm going to go through as much of this as I can in as little time as possible for you folks, because I don't know how long Liberty Baby is going to last. We still have a lot of stuff to do today. So let's go through. Let me share this with you. This is the official ATF press release that was attached to the rule. Let me zoom in so you guys can see it. Look at these beautiful firearms here that are now apparently illegal and considered NFA items. The fun fact, the overarching theme in this new rule is, well, the ATF isn't doing anything. They're not redefining anything. They're just, it's the NFA and the Gun Control Act that have made these things illegal, and they're just finally coming out and enforcing it and letting everyone know that what they have is an illegal item, is the overarching theme here, where like the ATF thinks that they're the good guys in this and are not at all making felons out of millions of Americans overnight. So here we go. On January 13th, 2023, the Attorney General signed ATF Final Rule 2021-R-08F, factoring criteria for firearms with attached stabilizing braces, amending ATF's regulations to clarify when a rifle is designed, made, and intended to be fired from the shoulder. I believe that that weird point system that they had initially released has been nixed, and instead that's why they changed the definition of a rifle to include all of it. The rule outlines the factors ATF would consider when evaluating firearms equipped with a purported stabilizing brace or rearward attachment to determine whether these weapons would be considered a rifle or short-barreled rifle under the Gun Control Act of 1968, or a rifle or firearm subject to regulation under the NFA. The rule's amended definition of rifle clarifies that the term designed, redesigned, made, or remade, and intended to be fired from the shoulder includes a weapon that is equipped with an accessory, component, or other rearward attachment, for example, a stabilizing brace that provides surface area that allows the weapon to be fired from the shoulder, provided other factors, as listed in the definition, indicate the weapon is designed and intended to be fired from the shoulder. Rose Blight, thank you for the super chat. She says this will backfire on the BATFE. Their breaking and entering is silent. Oh, I like that. They just made millions of SBRs, thus protected by Second Amendment. We shall see. Demon Hunter Bear says that their SBR identifies as a musket. The rule does not affect stabilizing braces that are objectively designed and intended as a stabilizing brace for use by individuals with disabilities. So I am curious to see how they are going to define that exactly and what the differentiation there is going to be. And not for shouldering the weapon as a rifle. Such stabilizing braces are designed to conform to the arm and not as a buttstock. However, if the firearm with the stabilizing brace is a short-barreled rifle, it needs to be registered within 120 days from the date of publication in the Federal Register, which was today, of course. It's on a Friday afternoon before the weekend. So that takes a few days before people can file lawsuits and try to go after this. Though, as I understand, there are already letters being sent in from congressmen and all of that. The rule is effective the date it is published in the Federal Register, again today. Any weapons with stabilizing braces or similar attachments that constitute rifles under the NFA must be registered no later than 120 days after date of publication in the Register, or the short barrel removed and a 16-inch or longer rifle barrel attached to the firearm, or permanently remove and dispose of or alter the stabilizing brace such that it cannot be reattached, or the firearm is turned in to your local ATF office, or the firearm is destroyed. So those are your ways to comply with this new rule. Please note that it is the text of the final rule as signed by the Attorney General, but the official version of the final rule will be as it is published in the Federal Register. The rule will go into effect once it is published. Okay. Then they have a bunch of resources and blah, 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 blah. So again, look at this. 1 out of 293 pages. The rule is 293 pages long. The beginning is just a whole bunch of the history of the rule, the crap what led them to make this rule, the different iterations of the rule, why Biden asked for the rule, etc., etc. For clarity of purpose and time, what we're going to do instead is I'm going to go through a couple of summaries and notes that have been put out so far by other outlets that I trust. First off, the reload is in here, and here are some of the finer points that the reload notices. While firearms equipped with stabilizing braces or other rear ward attachments may be submitted to ATF for a new classification determination, a majority of the existing firearms equipped with a stabilizing brace are likely to be classified as rifles because they are configured for shoulder fire based on the factors described in this rule. Because many of these firearms generally have a barrel of less than 16 inches, they are likely to be classified as short-barreled rifles subject to regulation and registration under the NFA and Gun Control Act. So basically they're saying anything that is marketed as a brace is supposed to be a brace if it can be fired from the shoulder or has enough surface area that they think it can be fired from the shoulder, then it is now an NFA item. The agency says that nearly everyone with a pistol brace equipped gun is violating the NFA by possessing an unregistered rifle with a barrel of less than 16 inches. Now, the ATF itself estimates 3 to 7 million of these devices exist. The Congressional Research Service instead says that the number is probably between 10 and 40 million. So a lot of times I say that this stuff is about two things. It is about control and it is about revenue. Actually, in the video that I'm going to have coming out either later today or early tomorrow, depending on how long this takes and how generous Liberty Baby is with her time. I also mention a law and someone that the ATF has gone after recently. And again, it is purely for revenue, I think, because let's check this out. Let's get up our handy dandy calculator here. So we figure we'll go on the low end of 10 million, right? Times 200 tax stamps times 200. That's how much money they stand to make with the low estimate from the congressional office. $2 billion on the low end. If allegedly all of these NFA items actually are registered with their tax stamp. If we go on the high end here of 40 million of these such devices times a $200 tax stamp, well, now they stand to make $8 billion. Mark Dibble in the chat says 3 to 7 million examples of people trying to follow the law. Right. So Dan Moore says that he owns 10. I don't know if I would say that part out loud, but really what the ATF is saying is they want to make $8 billion. That's what they're looking for. Now, under the Biden administration, the agency's new rule purports to be more objective, but still relies on subjective measures, including whether the agency believes that indirect marketing of a brace shows it is meant to be shouldered. Ultimately, it classifies nearly all pistol brace-equipped firearms as unregistered short-barrel rifles. The agency gave Americans who own pistol-braced guns a few options to avoid potential prosecution. And again, there is that list of detaching it, bringing it to the ATF, destroying it, etc., etc. Lots of political opposition. The Second Amendment Foundation is already on it. Gun Owners of America is already on it. There's some senators that are already on it, so we're going to see where that goes. Now, this is the article from the Truth About Guns, and the rule, if you scroll through, it has eventually here a lot of pictures of what it says is a brace versus a stock, and it has, you know, dimensions here and mathematical equations that it wants folks to follow, but they include pictures of no items by their definition here. Stabilizer accessory, and this article here from the Truth About Guns takes some of these pictures and aggregates it for us. So we have example of this is what they say. They say this is a short-barreled rifle from Daniel Defense. We have an ATF firearm with a stabilizing brace attached, or AR type firearm. I believe I just said ATF. So these are some of their examples. This is just funny. Like, look at these. I mean, and from the size of this mag, I don't even know what this exact gun is, but from the mag, I'm guessing it's a 22. You know, dangerous 22. So this is what the Truth About Guns says. They haven't read the full rule yet either. It's going to take quite a while to go through, but short version is almost any AR and AK style pistol, even if only equipped with iron sights, not even optics, any of that appears to be covered here, requiring either registration as an SBR, removal of the brace and rendering unusable, or removing the current barrel and replacing it with one that's at least 16 inches long. And it doesn't just apply to AR and AK type pistols. And it gives some more examples here. And again, the bit about how it doesn't affect people who are actually using this for disabilities to stabilize on their arm, only for folks that are using it as on the shoulder. Someone says that was a 9mm. Okay. And someone says those are some ugly examples. So here is a copy of the press release, and then here is what they say is the best summary that they have found so far. Q says, didn't bump stocks just become legal again? Should I swap to those? We shall see. So here is the best summary so far according to the Truth About Guns. All previous ATF classifications involving stabilizing brace attachment for firearms are superseded as of today. And this is, I believe, directly copy and pasted from the rule. As such, they are no longer valid or authoritative and cannot be relied upon. However, firearms with such attachments may be submitted to ATF for reclassification. So this is the part where it says that all previous letters that the ATF sent out to folks that said, oh yes, your firearm is okay, null and void, you have to resubmit it to the ATF for a new letter. A process which I'm sure takes forever, as it is, getting a tax stamp can take up to a year. So I'm sure this is going to take a very long time. The final rule's amended definition of rifle clarifies that the term designed, redesigned, made, or remade and intended to be fired from the shoulder includes a weapon that is equipped with an accessory, component, or other rear ward attachment. All right, we saw this already. That provides surface area that allows the weapon to be fired from the shoulder. So has to be a certain style, a certain type, it has to have a certain size, blah, blah, blah. Now, these are the other factors that could be included to determine if it is an SBR and not actually a pistol with a stabilizing brace for someone with disabilities by the ATF's definition. These other factors are whether the weapon has a weight or length consistent with the weight or length of similarly designed rifles. So here it is. This is the point system, the convoluted, wacky point system that was initially released, was pulled back, and now instead they are just popping it right into their new definition. Whether the weapon has a length of pull measured from the center of the trigger to the center of the shoulder stock or other rearward accessory, component, or attachment, including an adjustable or telescoping attachment with the ability to lock into various positions along a buffer tube, receiver extension, or other attachment method that is consistent with similarly designed rifles. So if it's the weight of a rifle and has a trigger pull of a rifle, by their definition, or the length of similar rifles, then it's a rifle and not a pistol with a brace. Whether the weapon is equipped with sights or a scope with eye relief that require the weapon to be fired from the shoulder in order to be used as designed, so iron sights, scope, anything, now you have a short-barreled rifle. Whether the surface area that allows the weapon to be fired from the shoulder is created by a buffer tube, receiver extension, or any other accessory, component, or rearward attachment that is necessary for the cycle of operations. The manufacturer's direct, and here we go, indirect marketing and promotional materials indicating the intended use of the weapon. So if there is a picture of someone holding it from the shoulder, then that enough is proof that it's an SBR and not a pistol with a brace, and information demonstrating the likely use of the weapon in the general community. Now, this part I think is interesting and could potentially set them up for a loss in the courts because common use. Right? They are essentially binding themselves here with common use. Now they're saying, well, common use would, if it's commonly used as a rifle, well, now it's an SBR. But we know from Heller, you can't ban common use items. Now they might be saying, well, we're not banning it. It's just, a tax stamp item under the NFA and Gun Control Act now. But you could argue that the amount of time it takes to get a tax stamp. And with the number of these things out in circulation, you could make an argument there that they are putting undue burden on otherwise law-abiding Americans. Also, there's the argument that under Bruin, this is not consistent with the historical enactment of gun use and gun ownership in the United States, especially the Gun Control Act was 1968. Firearms have been around in the U.S. for a lot longer than that. So I think, I am not a lawyer. I am not a constitutional scholar. I am not a Supreme Court scholar, any of that. But I think that this is an interesting clause that could potentially be part of the downfall of this rule. We will have to see. We haven't yet come across what the ATF means by consistent with, what they consider enough surface area to function as a stock, and what indirect marketing means, or how they plan to hold a manufacturer accountable for the likely use of the weapon in the general community if that use is contrary to the manufacturer's design intention, marketing, and stated purpose. Okay, so here is another update. I'm going to reload this and see if this is the last update, and it is. So this is the most recent update. Under this guidance, there are no pistol grip shotgun style firearms that are acceptable with a brace, as none of those firearms are intended under the definitions of the Gun Control Act to be fired from one hand, and therefore the brace has no purpose. These guns are now viewed as short-barreled shotguns, which are NFA regulated. Needless to say, in our opinion, just because these shorty stockless shotguns fall into a catch-all definition of firearm under the Gun Control Act, and that definition doesn't state designed to be fired from one hand, doesn't mean a disabled user who must fire it only from one hand cannot benefit greatly from the employment of a stabilizing brace. So here is the relevant text from the document here. The NPRM explained that the proposed criteria and worksheet did not apply to firearms commonly referred to as pistol grip shotguns, as they were never designed to be held and fired using one hand, for example, the Mossberg Shockwave. And then they have some pictures. As discussed in section 11B, 2B, whatever, it doesn't matter. This thing is 300 pages long. But as discussed in this one minutia section of the preamble, these firearms are specifically designed to be fired with two hands. Do they really know that? ATF has always classified these weapons as firearms under the Gun Control Act and not as shotguns. Yeah, okay, and then that's why they have to make this rule, because they do not incorporate a shoulder stock and are not designed and intended to be fired from the shoulder like a shotgun, nor has ATF classified these weapons as pistols, as they are not designed to be held and fired in one hand like a pistol. Thus, the addition of a stabilizing brace does not assist with single-handed firing, but instead provides surface area that allows for firing from the shoulder. Therefore, a pistol grip shotgun equipped with a stabilizing brace and a barrel of less than 18 inches is an NFA firearm, i.e. short-barreled shotgun. I would love for folks with disabilities, disabled veterans, any of these folks who use stabilizing braces, especially on shotguns, I would love for these folks to start a lawsuit and bring up like Americans with Disability Act criteria or something and make the ATF defend, basically charging people with disabilities an extra $200 and 1 year of their time to be able to shoot a shotgun. I would love it. I would love it. I think that that would be excellent. So, Snowflake's Nightmare says you are supposed to actually use both hands to fire a pistol for stability. Exactly. Exactly. Which is another excellent point. So we will definitely, on this channel, I always say we, it's me. I will be following this. I guess you could count Liberty Baby. We will be following this rule. I will definitely dive more into the text of this as time and Liberty Baby allows, to potentially make a shorter video that sums up everything for you guys. And we'll definitely be watching for any potential lawsuits. if those are able to move forward, I think that this will be an interesting thing to follow. So already it's been 25 minutes, which is longer than I thought that this would be, but we have lots of information to go through. Yes, as Q says, it is the royal we. And ta-da, I am actually about to close it out, so you will be able to go back and rewatch. Short version is anything with a stabilizing brace is now an NFA item, and you have 120 days to register it with the ATF and a tax stamp. Destroy it, turn it into the ATF, take off the brace, destroy it, or replace the short barrel with a longer barrel. And any previous letters from the ATF saying that something is legal and fine no longer counts, has to be resubmitted. And they have changed the definition of rifle and have included basically their weird point system that they had originally proposed right into the definition of rifle. That is the TLDR version. So that is it, guys. Thank you for everyone who tuned in and took a gander at this. Again, I will go through it. I will keep up to date. I'll be reading all the articles that come out so I can get you a more clear and concise short form information on this. And we'll watch the lawsuits. So everyone, thanks for tuning in on such short notice. Thanks for the mods who also showed up with such short notice. And there will be another video out for you guys shortly. It's going to be a doozy. And we get to complain about the ATF again. So real quick, I just see someone says, do I do events? Not really. But Palmetto State Armory does have something called The Gathering, and it's at the end of March. It's not the Juggalo Gathering, it's Gun Gathering, and I will be there. It is here in South Carolina, end of March, I believe. So I can see you guys there, anyone who shows up. I will catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. Again, thanks for hitting the like and hanging out.